Hey everyone, welcome to the Groove Allotment. Yeah, recently I got chatting on a Facebook group with someone about how to make a mono track sound stereo. And I don't just mean panning it left or panning it right, because that's not making it stereo, it's just making a mono track sound like it's coming from a different direction. That makes sense. What I'm talking about is adding width and space. So I'm going to talk through 6 or 7 different techniques that I'm going to use. I've thrown together a 30-second track, which is probably the cheesiest and definitely the sexiest song I've ever written. It's not fit for release, but it'll do great for just demoing these. All the tracks on there are mono, so I'll run through different techniques, give you examples, and then yeah, we can listen and learn as we go along. So first of all, I'm just going to play you a snippet of the track in mono. Then a snippet of the track in stereo. Okay, so the first group of techniques I'm going to talk through is a fairly simple idea. All we're going to do is do something different to one side, the left, than we're going to do to the right. So first of all, let's just apply different EQs. This is going to be very similar to using 2 different types of microphones. Say for example, we're recording an electric guitar. Let's put a 57, pan that to the left. Let's put a Beyerdynamic M88, amazing microphone, and pan that to the right. And the different frequency responses is going to create a sense of width. We can also do that in the box, so let's have a quick look. Here is a mono guitar. Don't be fooled by the track looking stereo. I've only done that because I've added an EQ to demonstrate, but just to prove it is mono. That's stereo. There you go. When I hit mono on the monitor section, you can hear no difference. So let's open an EQ which allows me to do separate left and right. I mean, you could split it onto 2 channels, but it's easier this way. This is Waves HEQ, which is a really good all-rounder if you're thinking of getting an EQ. Right, so first of all, let's just say that'd be about the same. Right, now let's separate left and right. Let's put the master section in mono. Then it'll make monitoring easier. Let's separate them. So this is the left side. Turn it up a bit. Okay, let's find some frequencies to boost. Ooh, that's a bit bright. I want a bit of a jazzy tone, so let's go for the... Yeah, that could work. Okay, I'm not going to spend too long on this because, you know, this is just a demonstration. I'm not mixing seriously. Let's put a low pass filter on as well. Okay, and then over to the right. Let's find a different set. So we can see we've boosted there, so let's boost a different set of frequencies there. Let's maybe soften the lows. Bring that. Maybe just bring a little of those glassy highs. Now obviously we might affect the level here, so we might need to rebalance left and right, but let's have a listen. Back in stereo. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so this was before, then after. Oh, yeah. So the right side is slightly dominant with the new frequencies we've put in, so let's pull it back until the feels. So without, with, and there you go. So with the same idea of just doing something different to one side than the other, this time we're going to use modulation, or you could do it with pitch. But I'm going to take inspiration from the famous Boss C1 chorus, which is an amazing chorus pedal. And what that does in the stereo mode is it applies the chorus modulation to one side, and then the other side is completely dry. So let's, we've got a Rhodes here. Let's solo this first. again, it is mono. Let's just split for the sake of this. So let's put the chorus on. And just to prove my point, let's turn down the right side and listen. It might be a bit quieter now. So, as you can hear there's absolutely no modulation. Then on the other side, ooh. Hello. And then it works well in mono. So that's the two together. But then if we would whack it into stereo, oh yeah. So yeah, all we've done there is apply a modulation to one side and left the other side dry. Okay, similar idea to the last one, but instead of a modulation, we're just going to lower the pitch of one side and keep it fixed. So let's listen to... so this is the tambourine. Okay, so what I'm going to do on one side is just lower the pitch by a semitone. Just that difference in pitch has created masses of width. I really like this effect on percussion, shakers, tambourines, things like that. What we can also do is, let's put that in the middle. So the original's down the middle now, and I'm going to put the left side down a semitone and the right side down 11 semitones. So there we go. All we did was something different to one side than we did to the other side, and it created width. So those last techniques we looked at all kind of, I guess, fall into a category of signal processing. We're using inserts, we're manipulating the original sound. Now we're going to look at effects processing, so we're going to add to it. We're not going to change the original, but we're going to add to it. And first of all, we're going to look at reverb. Let's look at the drums. So what we've got here is three channels even of mono drums. Just kick, snare and a mono overhead. And then I've set up a drum reverb, ascend and return. Now it's a stereo reverb. Let's use an impulse response, it's fine, it might already be loaded. Yeah, Townhouse. I know that there's been some very good drums recorded Townhouse, so it should be a really nice ambience. And then all we do is mix into taste. There you go. All we've done is add a stereo reverb, and immediately it's sounding more exciting. I'm also going to quickly add, what have we got here? A plate reverb loaded. Whack this on the snare as well. Yeah, I've already got some send in, just to add a bit more width to the snare. There we go. Again, I've done the same thing on the bass. I've just sent it to room. So this technique's particularly good for things where you want to preserve a strong mono image. So kick, snare, bass, lead vocals, generally you want them down the middle. So we're going to use reverb again, but this time we're going to use it slightly differently. I'm going to show you on electric guitar. And what we're going to do in the session is create a fake room mic. When I record electric guitars for real, I rarely record now without a room mic. I have a close mic and a room mic. It's a great way of creating depth and space. So what we've got here is the other guitar part. Okay. And what we're going to do is send it off to a mono reverb, which is set to a room algorithm. Let's have a look. Let's find. Let's go for a different studio. Signet, Omni. Okay, and then what you do is you pan the guitar. Maybe what have we done here? About 20 to the left, and then 50, 60, 70, 80 to the right. The reverb, and blend it into taste. Let's just check in mono, because we don't want to get carried away with adding too much reverb. Yeah. Before. After. Great. Really simple. And just adds a lovely sense of space and dimension, but keeps it balanced at the same time. Again, really simple to using a stereo reverb. We're going to use a stereo delay. Something like a ping pong we're going to use here, or you might use a multi-tap where you pan them around just to create a sense of space. So here we have a very cheesy synth. Right, ping pong. That's nice because in this case you start with mono and then it sort of expands into stereo. So two more techniques to talk about. This one's dead simple. It's just recording an overdub, or if you're using MIDI, kind of faking an overdub. So we've got a maraca track here which I have programmed in. If I was recording maracas live, I'd record it once, I'd record it twice, and then I'd spread them across the stereo field to create some sense of width. All we're going to do here is I've copied it across. So this is the original. Now the moment left and right are identical, so okay. So let's open quantize, randomize. Yeah, so it's 40%, 16th note. Yeah, apply. So these are now going to be 40% randomized around the 16th note. There we go. And these variations in time, they're obviously going to be different with each beat. So if we zoom in, you can see that one's quite a lot before, that one's after. So there's lots of variation there. You can also muck around if you're doing a fake overdub, kind of a bit like we've changed the mic. So we're using a different. There you go, so I've just changed the EQ a bit, which would be like using a different mic or using a different maraca. And again, that creates a sense of width. Ooh, slurp of coffee. Still on the Christmas blend. So the last technique I'm going to talk about is called the Haas Effect, and this is a psychoacoustic trick. By psychoacoustics, I mean how your brain interprets what it hears. So you may or may not know there's two ways your brain calculates the direction a sound is coming from. The first, and probably the most obvious, is it uses differences in levels. Oh, it's louder in my left ear than my right ear, so it must be coming from over there. Now that works for high frequencies, but not for low frequencies. Low frequencies, because if the wavelength is long enough, it wraps around your head and there is no perceivable difference in level. So how does your brain calculate that? It uses delay times. So if it arrives sooner at your left ear than your right ear, your brain calculates it must be coming over there. Pretty cool, isn't it? The sort of delay times we're looking at is, you know, under 5 milliseconds, half a millisecond, really short delay times. If you want to experiment, just, you know, put some headphones on, set up a delay on your computer and play around, and your brain will start going, ooh, this is cool. Then there's this sort of middle band of time that we can play with, and this is where the Haas effect, because until about 35 or 40 milliseconds, your brain doesn't perceive it as a separate sound. So let's put that in, explain that more simply. Over about 35, 40 milliseconds, it starts to sound like a slapback. But before than that, if it's shorter than that, your brain can't quite compute it quick enough and kind of still merges it into the same sound. What happens here when they're panned across is, instead of the direction coming from left or right, your brain sort of panics and goes, oh, I have no idea where this is coming from, and it tells your brain tells you it's coming from both sides. We lose pretty much all of the mono image, but we get this really wide stereo sound, and that is a psychoacoustic trick. All we're doing is fooling your brain. And let's show you. So here we have a synth bass. Left is completely dry, right is completely wet. So obviously nothing happening at the minute. So let's, for example, whack some headphones on quickly, 0.5 milliseconds. I mean, it will work on monitors as well, but so that to me sounds immediately like it's coming from the left. 3 milliseconds. Oops, still the left. You can see we're starting to get some Haas effect. Your brain's starting to get a little bit sort of. There we go. Right. Anyway, enough playing. Let's put it up to 30 milliseconds. So it sounds like it's coming from both left and right. But it doesn't sound like we've got a sort of slapback yet until let's put it up to 50. Okay, now it's starting to sound like two different. See what I mean? Let's go for 20, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, let's mix this with the other bass. So it really stands out now. If we do it before, still sounds cool, but it doesn't have that width. There we go. So finally, we'll listen to the track. We'll listen in mono, we'll listen in stereo, and yeah, let's build it up from the beginning. So let's take these effects off. So there we have the mono. So let's start with the, let's start with bringing in the drum reverb, so room. Okay, they're all on now. So let's quickly sum it all to mono, see how it sounds. Make sure there's nothing weird cancelling out or sounding terrible. So it still sounds good in mono, which is brilliant. Because we've not got carried away on effects that might cause phase issues. So there we go. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any comments, any questions. I really like answering questions from people who want to find out more information. If you want me to explain anything better, I'll try. I can't promise, but I'll try. But yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, happy mixing.